Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome to Thought Leadership Thursday. I'm your host and baker influencer, Richard Charpentier, certified master baker. And today we have the privilege to have our wonderful guest from Vantage Foods, which is Adam Oberhoy. He's an engineer with Vantage Foods, and today we'll be talking about pen releasing agents and equipment to apply pen releasing agents for the bakery industry for breads and cakes. Good morning, Adam, and welcome to Thought Leadership Thursday.
Good morning, Richard. Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate this opportunity and excited to have this discussion.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you on board. It's we talk about ingredients, but it's great to have someone who understands releasing agents and equipment that going with it, because it's something that is often not talked about enough, in my opinion, and it's something that bakeries use every day, and I'm sure I have a lot of questions about that. So can you tell the audience today a little more about yourself and Vantage Foods and what you do there?
Absolutely. So Vantage Foods' primary business in the food industry is providing release agents, emulsifiers, shortenings, and icings, and then equipment to apply those in bakery settings. In my current role, I'm engineering and equipment manager for the business unit. So I deal on the technical side of the business, largely in customer facilities where we're working to overcome challenges in their processes. Specifically in baking, we're talking today about the challenges with product sticking and certain pan coatings and release agent solutions to overcome those.
Well, thank you for the great intro, and I do agree with you. I've worked in bakeries for many years, and there's nothing worse than having a bad day when all your cupcakes get stuck in your pan. So I'm glad to have you on board. So hopefully we can answer a few questions. So regarding the customers and the bakers, when seeking and looking for equipment and pen releasing agent, what are the things that bakers should keep in mind when utilizing automated equipment to apply releasing agents to their pan?
Yeah, there's a lot of technical considerations that come into play here. So the size of your bakery comes into play on what level of automation you need, right? So if we talk about a large scale bakery that's running hundreds or thousands of pans a shift, you need something very automated to precisely apply the correct release agent into these pans. So things they need to keep in mind is not only some sort of system to consistently apply it at the speeds they require, but also make sure that it's matched to the correct release agent that is tailored to the product and the pan dimensions that they're using in their process.
Good point. And do the spraying nozzles, would they be different for different applications?
Yes, absolutely. And you can go down to many layers there in terms of equipment design specifically for the application. I know we'll talk about it later, but there's a varying degree of release agent portfolios. So there's greases, there's oils, there's water-based. And so nozzle design absolutely comes into play. So it's going to come into play not only with the release agent going through it, but also with the pan dimensions and the cavity that you're going to spray. You want to make sure and apply the optimum amount of release agent. You don't want to just completely cover or saturate the pan surface and create puddling, because then that leads to negative effects later on for your product quality and your depanning process.
Yeah, excellent point. And then it's true, as a lot of bakers have seen different now intricate shapes of rectangle and stars, and I'm assuming the more intricate, the more sophisticated the machine to spray it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be that high level of sophistication and automation. And one thing at Vantage Food that we offer is a lot of customization of those nozzles and those nozzle caps to do exactly what you said, to shoot those custom cavities and make sure that we're not over applying. One thing we want to be cautious of is when we're selecting our caps and our cavities, is we don't want to over apply, because that leads not only to waste of the product, but it's also going to lead to build up on your pans, which as you go through bake cycles, it's going to build up and polymerize, which then causes the pan to have to be pulled out sooner for the cleaning process. So nozzle specifications and design are absolutely critical. They're a critical part of this packaging.
See, that's a good thing for the bakers out there to learn. It's, we're all bakers are trying to minimize the waste and control the consistency and the quality. It's good to know that, picking the right nozzle and having the right machine with the right releasing agent helps. I know you're mentioning, the longevity of the pans. That's something bakers always, struggle with, because you need to keep up your production. You don't want to stop. You don't want to send them away. Or if you send them away, you have to have enough pans in your inventory to do that, and it's costly as well. At home, we have a lot of, Teflon being used at home so it doesn't stick. So when coating pans, what are the benefits of using, releasing agent in tandem with like things like I mentioned, like a Teflon coated pans? Would it be better?
Yeah, absolutely. So we see a lot of glazes and coatings like Teflon, which are very good. They serve a great purpose, and their function is to help release that product cleanly. Interestingly enough, if you look at a pan surface at a microscopic level, you're going to see it's not smooth, even though it appears smooth to our eye. You're going to see a lot of ridges and valleys. And so when you apply a coating like a Teflon, that's going to help to smooth that out a little bit, but not completely. And so the benefit of using a release agent on top of a Teflon coated pan in this example is it's going to further smooth that out. That's going to eliminate the most ridges and valleys possible for that cooking surface. And so what you're going to get is the most optimized releasing surface for your product. Secondarily, what you're going to do with a release agent used in tandem with a Teflon coating, you're going to extend the investment up front to get of what the bakery had to invest to get that pan coated. And we're talking hundreds of pans, so it's a substantial investment. And what we often see is if a pan is freshly coated, it'll go through its processes of bake cycles and cleaning processes, and it might wear out somewhere between 6 weeks, maybe less, maybe more, depending on how often they're running and the severity of their cleaning cycles. When you introduce a release agent on top of that, you can extend those run times up to 2 to 3+ months. And the release agent investment is so much more minimal compared to the Teflon coating investment. So we're helping these bakeries at a sustainability level of reducing their expenditures of having to take the pans off, have an impact on production, get them recoated, have redundancies in operations, etc. So it's really interesting to look at release agents not as an alternative to coatings, but something that can enhance the performance and longevity of your coatings.
No, that's very good. See that, and I'm glad we're able to discuss that today, because bakers tend to see that as, okay, I need to spray that, but it's good. And then learning a lot too by using combination of the right coated pan, like in that case that you're mentioning, Teflon, with the right releasing agent. Bakers can expect to see better profit, longer runs, and what other benefits we're mentioning. And I'm like, every baker should try to, because it's more efficient long term. But what other benefits? And basically, you can apply the cost of usage of the releasing agent has to be less too, right? I would assume so.
Absolutely, that's a great point. So one thing that our equipment takes into consideration is the life of the pan, and we have automated settings within our equipment. So when a customer introduces newly coated pans, we can make an adjustment, and then from there, based on the run cycles and the known degradation of that pan, our systems will automatically adjust. So when a pan is freshly coated with Teflon, we'll start with the minimum release agent required. So what the bakery is going to have at that instance is the minimum investment needed in release agent. As the bake cycles increase, our system will increase, incrementally increase the amount of release agent applied. And then all the way to the end, where the pan life is at its end. You're going to have almost no coating left, and the release agent is not fully releasing the product. So at that time, you'll pull it off.
And then you mentioned the automated system. When you're, that when you bring new freshly coated pan, that your system is already pre-programmed and it knows, or someone will have to enter it on a specific program where you use less, and as the age of the pan, the pan gets older, it will automatically adjust, or does someone have to adjust it, or it's the machine will do it itself?
Yeah, great clarifying question there. So we set it up initially inside of the program, and once it's engaged to start, then it'll automatically sense. So if they're going to run the same pan type, and it's going to count the cycles, and when it gets to certain set points that we develop with the customer based on how fast they know that their pans degrade and wear out, the coating wears out, then the machine will automatically adjust. So you don't need operational staff to go over there, fine tune those settings, and watch it and ensure it adjusts. The machine handles it for you.
That's amazing. I love that. It's a easy concept. It makes it easy for the operator not to have to think, and if it's already built in the system and customized. I love that approach of customization. I know we're talking about Teflon being an amazing coating, and I've used it at home, and we all have. It's great where you don't have to use barely any releasing oil in your pan. When using Teflon, it works really well, but do you have a specific releasing agent under Vantage Foods that works better with Teflon, and they all work well with Teflon?
It's a great question. So one thing I want to stress is not all release agents are created equal. It's gonna vary based on your product, and there's a lot of considerations in there: sugar content, inclusions, flavorings, even dough or batter type. It's also going to take into consideration your pan cavities. As I mentioned earlier, you're going to steer away from certain release agents based on pan cavities. So as we look at the product, we can consider in our portfolio water-based release agent options, oil-based release agent options, and those are primarily going to work on your bread applications. We also have a broad portfolio of grease-based release agents, and those are going to go into more of your cakes. And so you absolutely want to get the right release agent for your product, and then you want to get that tied into the right application equipment. Again, when we go into these facilities, we work really well with the customers up front. So we answer all these questions at the lab level and then at the equipment development level. So when we roll an equipment solution into these facilities tied in with the perfect release agent solution, we set it up to work within an optimized window, because we know that there's variables in the bakery, whether it's in the ingredients or in the baking environment. The humidity can even have a huge impact, certainly on how the product releases. We're going to have the right release agent that allows a little bit of flex within that window. But if you make a big change, either in your product ingredients or in the release agent, if you swap something else out, you're going to fall far outside that window, and you're going to experience negative consequences. And often they're very severe negative consequences, where you're going to have to dispose of hundreds or thousands of loaves of bread, for example.
No, there's nothing worse than throwing your product because of the pan releasing agent not performing well. And I've been in that situation. Now, let's say, you're mentioning the different, ingredients or the different solutions that Vantage Foods offers to bakers to release. You mentioned the water base and the other one. So let's say I'm a bakery. Well, the example of two bakeries, one, let's say, is making pan bread and the other one making high ratio cakes. So would the system with Teflon be the same, and the application, to spray would be the same, but what would be the difference will be the pan releasing agents, and can you give me a little more, in-depth information on the differences?
Yes, certainly. So for Teflon, we have solutions from each product family that work really well in tandem with Teflon. And so Teflon is not going to rule out any of our release agents. It comes back to the product being ran, like you said. I mean, whether it's breads, and that doesn't stop there. There's so many differences and variables within breads, and then of course with cakes. So we would look at those, and based on past experience and working with the customer at the lab and testing level, even to the extent where we request to get customers' pans in-house to test exactly on the surface with their products to ensure that we have the right release agent selected and then are applying it correctly in that optimized manner through our equipment.
Wow, it's a lot to learn, and I've been in product development for so many years in the industry, and I like the approach from Vantage Foods that everything is customized. A lot of people tend to think it's just a fat, you put it in there, but there's a lot of work and customization and chemistry happening, and it's so great to be able to have you today to be able to answer all those questions. And if customers or bakers around, if they want to get more information, how can they get more information from Vantage Foods on their pen releasing applications?
Oh, it certainly can reach out to us. I mean, we have the Vantage Group website. There'll be links on Bakerpedia that link them to Vantage Food. Vantage Food has a very active LinkedIn page. So those are easy ways to get into some of our content and look at that and then engage us. And then from there, everything is funneled in to get you to the correct department that you need to work with. And I appreciate that, you highlighted that for us, because we are a technical solutions provider. These are formulated solutions, and we are always excited and constantly working with customers to work on customized solutions for them. Again, just because we have a very broad portfolio of hundreds of release agent options doesn't mean that we have one that absolutely fits for your specific product. We can work with your team, your R&D team, to customize a solution for you, and we do that often.
Oh, great information. So, hey, all those people, bakers watching, remember, don't think one oil, one pen releasing agent works everywhere. I would learned a lot about all the multiple solutions that you offer, plus the support. That's amazing. Well, it was a pleasure having you, Adam. I really thank you very much for your time. And now this is Richard Charpentier for Thought Leadership Thursday, telling you goodbye and see you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you.